All right, guys, fantastic. Now you can see our entire chunking and processing pipeline has worked fantastically well. Yeah, you can see it has loaded all the roughly how many 286 studies, okay, have been processed successfully. Yes, all of them have kind of worked effectively well. So these many studies are processed. All these, after all these studies were processed, then it started connecting to Cloud SQL, which is our relational database plus vector database. Connection pool created successfully. Then it saved the metadata to Cloud SQL, and you can see all of the total 286 were kind of processed. Then chunking started, and you can see this is where all the chunking started. You can see total number of words 118, total number of words. You can see how many chunks have been produced for each individual NCT ID. For each of the 286 research studies which have their unique NCT IDs, you can just see each and every research study. You can see split complete. This is the research ID of the subject. These many total number of words were created. The chunks, total chunks created were 1 and whatnot. Okay. Now, just a minute. Yeah. Okay. Now you can see here all of this being, embedded here. Okay. You can see, you can just scroll down and down and down, and very towards the very end, you can see you finally get the output. Yeah, so how many total chunks have been embedded? 289. So 286 studies were saved, and all of those 289 chunks have now been converted into 1536 dimensions. So each and every chunk has been converted into 1536. So 289 multiplied by 1536 number of vectors we have right now. All of the embedded chunks have now been saved to Cloud SQL, and you can see the processing has been complete. The connection pool has been closed. This is fantastic. If you want to check, you can always go on GCP. Let's say if I go on GCP, I just need to type Cloud SQL. If I click on Cloud SQL, I can just go in here. Then you click on instances. If you go towards the end, you will see the instance being listed. So just click on clinical trial DB. Okay. And here you can look at the instance, the DB instance that you have created. Fantastic. Here you can get a lot of information around it. Okay. You can see right now it's it's a 628.74 MB processor. Yeah. If I click on Cloud SQL Studio, here it will ask me to connect to my database. So let's say I'm going to just connect to my database, Mosaic user. I'm going to put in the password. Okay, I'm going to click on authenticate. Okay, and once I click on authenticate, guys, here you can see the entire schema. You can see our different tables that we're going to create, right? For human in the loop, we have created HITL project. It is HITL reviews. It has 7 columns: rejection, region, edit, summary. These are just different tables that we have. And here now, for example, chunks. Our chunks table has 6 columns: chunk ID, NCT ID, chunk text, embedding, chunk index, and source. Okay. If you see studies table, in studies table there are 15 columns. Okay, now this is just like any other. If you have worked on PostgreSQL, you can just understand how you work with a database. Now if I just click here, I can type SQL queries, and I can just interact with them very easily. Okay, as simple as that. I can just write simple SQL queries, and I can actually test it. Yeah. For example, let me see if this is working. Okay, run selected. Fantastic. You can see I just ran this simple query where I just say select the NCT ID, source, vector dimensions, embedding as dims. Okay, from the and then I just ran a simple query. This gives me the preview, okay, from the chunks, right? So these are the 5 chunks. These are the dimensions, and this is their study, right? I mean, you can just try running this individually, and you can actually test it. Let's say if I want to see how many chunks have been created, so I'll just say select the count of star, and I'll just say as total chunks. Okay, from chunks table. So we have the chunks table, right? Let's say I just want the count of chunks. So I'll just run this, and voila, you can see it says 289 chunks, which is the exact number of chunks that we have created, if you can recall. Okay, let's say if I want to see 5 real rows from the studies table. Okay, for example, let's say you have this studies table, yes, and from studies table, let's say I want to look at some rows. Let's say I want to look at status, all of that. So I can just say select, I'll say I want to see NCT ID. I'll just say here from which table? From studies table, right? So from NCT ID, from this thing, I want to look at sponsor, NCT ID. Then I want to look at status. I want to look at the results posted. Okay, and yeah, and I can just limit this to 5. Yeah, fantastic. Yes, as of now there are no results posted. That is the reason it is showing false. Yes, I hope you guys are getting an idea how to run simple SQL, and this is where you can do the SQL interaction. Now this is where you will be having your vectors stored. This is your relational database. Okay, this is fantastic. Okay, so we have successfully saved all our data to to Cloud SQL instance, and we are also able to interact with that here. Okay, now in case if you want to run this from Python terminal, okay, to run this from Python terminal, you write the script a tad bit differently. For example, if I just go to GCP commands, and let me do one thing, let me just paste that command here. You can see this is how now in our Cloud SQL instance, we were only running this command, right? Only this command we were putting in here, right? But if I have to run the same command from the bash terminal, okay, in Python, I'll be using pSQL. In pSQL, first and foremost, I have to pass my host ID, my port number, my DB name, my DB user, -c, and then the SQL statement. So this is typically how I run it on Python bash terminal. Okay, so just a minute. Okay, now let's say I'm just going to run it here, and let me hit enter. Okay, it is asking me for password. Okay, and now after putting the password, you can see it will show me how many total number of chunks are there. Fantastic, guys. I hope you guys are getting the flavor of the production grade project that we are building. Okay, all right guys, let's now move to the next part.